Hello again, everyone. Welcome to another live edition of Mic'd Up Sports, the show that goes in depth with the people who build our sports community. And my next guest, perhaps one of the most anticipated in our fall winter lineup, if only because I picked up a few more friend requests when I announced that Jade Hill of Minneapolis South girls basketball would join us. Jade, like many others in the state, hoping to get out on the court this winter, but whenever her next game is, this much I can say for sure. She has over 2,000 career points at Minneapolis South, joining her older sisters in the 2,000-point club, Morgan and Tayler, and she will get to play a part of history next season as one of the first Division I recruits at St. Thomas. So we have a Hill sister who's going to be staying close to home. And Jade, thanks for coming on. And I'm just wondering, how quickly or how much did your phone blow up when you confirmed that you would be attending St. Thomas?
A lot. A lot of people reached out and congratulated me, and it was hectic. So, but I really enjoy all the support I had committing there, and like all the love people showed. So.
Well, you're part of a well-known family. In fact, you might be a part of the first family when it comes to Minnesota basketball.
Right.
And for anyone out there, if you'd like to drop a comment live on our Facebook stream, you feel free to do so. And if you're watching this on demand through our YouTube channel, we're glad you can join us as well. So Jade, I know about your family, and I think most basketball fans are aware about Tayler and PJ and Morgan and your younger sister, Angel. You've got Tanisha, your eldest sister, who is a state tournament champion and looking to start a new legacy at Roseville. So this may seem like a silly question, but for you, Jade, what was your first basketball memory or the moment that got you hooked on the sport?
I don't really know. Like, I remember watching my sister Tayler play in high school. Like, those games were always fun watching. But like, I think when I started playing with my sister Morgan when I was younger, like I really loved that, and like playing with the older girls and playing against them and like scoring. When I scored, everybody got so happy. Like, just that that feeling. I really liked it. So.
And we've already got a couple of comments coming in the live Facebook stream. So speaking of siblings, your big brother PJ, his remark goes, yes. And he added a few extra S's. So yes, Jade. And Sidney Murphy saying, get it, Jade, big talent, big work. And I've noticed your family and friends love to put the emphasis on compliments. They're adding extra consonants, so they would make for terrible Wheel of Fortune players, but it speaks to their enthusiasm about you.
Yeah, I love Cindy.
So you said you remember watching Tayler play. I don't know if you remember seeing PJ as well, because they went to different high schools. They ended up going to the same college, of course, at Ohio State. But what was it about PJ or Tayler that you remember when you were, as we joked about beforehand, half your age, half your size, watching your big brother and big sister do big things at their respective schools?
I don't know. I honestly, I don't know. Like, I just loved watching them play and like accomplish the things they did, and like how happy everybody in my family was. So, I mean, I wanted to follow up on that and continue what they already had done.
What is the family dynamic like, and what has it been like over the years where basketball runs through your veins?
Well, of course, like basketball gives our family a lot of opportunities, and like we're very grateful for that. But I mean, we just try to, take the most of what we get. And our sister, my older sister Tayler, my older brother PJ, they were very inspirational, and just have helped us and been great role models to us. So, we're very thankful for that, and like we're very thankful for basketball in general and what it has done for us.
And before my next question, another comment coming from Maya Johnson, who was a rival of sorts in terms of high school allegiance at Minneapolis North, but finished her basketball college career, I should say, at Michigan State. And she just gave you a series of emojis that include flexing biceps, fist pumps, basketballs, sunshades. I
You
don't
like
know.
that?
I don't speak emoji, but I'm going to say those are pretty good remarks.
Yeah.
How were Tayler and PJ inspirational for you? Of course, with Tayler, we know about her accomplishments, nearly 4,000 points, Miss Basketball, and one of the greatest players to come out of the state of Minnesota, and then got to play in the WNBA. So folks like me might see her as a celebrity, or PJ, who got to play at Ohio State and got to play in the NCAA tournament. Both of them did. But for you, what was it about them that inspired you to go as hard as you do?
Just seeing like where basketball has brought them and the opportunities as like brought forth to them, and just how they impact and how much they influence others. Like I wanted to be like that. I want to have a great influence on people in a way. So I think that was like a big thing for me.
And Maya translated her emojis for those of us who don't speak it and said, "Get it, girl." Well, I am not in a position to disagree. You certainly have been getting it over the years. So, what kind of advice or feedback or tips did they offer you when you and Morgan said, "Hey, I want to take up basketball too"?
Just to always stay positive and to like focus on myself. Never like compare myself to others and other people's success. Like I'm on my own route, my own path, and just focus on me, try to do the best I can and always work to improve on like all aspects of basketball, and in life in general.
Jade, I think Maya is one of your biggest fans. She's responding in real time. She she just said the entire Hill family are celebrities.
I'm not.
Well, if you don't mind, how do you handle that? Because I remember there was a huge amount of attention and hype that went to Tayler, and this was before Instagram and Snapchat and all these highlight accounts overtime were a thing. This was just as Facebook and Twitter were coming into form, YouTube. But years later, you get recognized, I presume. Well, we all know when we see a Hill, like, okay, we know we know who the matriarch and patriarch are. We know the background. You're one of those families that basketball fans know a lot about.
Right.
How do you handle that to make sure it doesn't overwhelm you?
I just try not to let it get to my head and like get too cocky, I never try to get cocky. I'm very humble actually. I say that in a humble way. But yeah, I think that's just the main thing, and just always trying to like in public come off never like what's the word? I'm like choking, I can't. I always want people to see me as like a light and stuff, and I always try to like act right in public or like anywhere I go, so yeah.
I remember when Tayler got all this hype in high school, and there was this big brouhaha about how many points she had because there was a discrepancy in record keeping.
Right.
Ultimately, it was 38-88, and everyone wanted to know where she would play Division One. And she grew up, I think, in this era before these prep prodigies in basketball became household names, before Paige Beckers and Dahlia McKenzie and Nia Holloway. Mara Braun just committed to Minnesota yesterday. Now everyone has that following. Back then, Tayler was at the head of the class, but much like yourself, stayed humble and still stayed humble. I remember interviewing her in college and in the pros, never budged from that position of humility and grace.
Right.
how much of that do you think rubbed off on you?
I think a lot of it, and I think a lot of it comes from my parents too. Like they always remind us, like don't ever get too ahead of yourself. You always have things to work on, or So I think it first started with my parents, and then they rubbed off on Tayler, and her and my parents just both rubbed off on like the younger kids, the younger siblings. So
And for you, how do you think that helped shape you as a role model and as a leader? Because you have a younger sister, Angel. We talked about your nieces and nephews, PJ's daughter. I'll probably be calling her game soon. Tanisha's daughter will be hopefully a teammate alongside you if we get to have a season. And Taylor's son has a few more years, but if I can make it long enough, I'm sure I'll see him too. So seeing so many of the young faces of the Hill clan, you looked up to PJ and Tayler. I imagine they look up to you. How does that shape your perspective?
um I always try to do the right thing and like lead in the right way, and give them advice when they need it. And just be that role model that Taylor and PJ was for me to them. So I think that's like,
Now, as you and Morgan and Angel, as you got older and developed your skills, I'm wondering, what do one-on-ones or scrimmages that the Hill household look like now that you all have a comparable skill level? Because I'm guessing when you were watching PJ and Tayler in high school, you were maybe a little too young to challenge them at the lane or go up and block their shot or cross them up. But now that you're all of age in college or high school, how do those turn out?
um, it's very competitive, and we talk a lot of trash to each other. It gets very heated, but I mean, we know it's all love, and that's just how we were raised. Never back down.
Who's the biggest trash talker of the siblings?
Definitely my younger brother Malachi or myself. I mean, we go at it. Morgan's more like laid back and quiet, but Taylor talks trash too. So I don't know. PJ, he talks trash, but I feel like not as much.
So, who has the best comeback or retort, since you've got a few trash talkers when it comes to the intra-family scrimmages?
Um, Honestly, I don't even know. I don't know. It's pretty even.
I think I heard someone say it's pretty even. I spell an idea. We should get all of you together when it's safe, or the next time you do a family gathering. instead of a one-on-one, we'll just do a trash talk face off or something. How does that sound?
Gosh, hectic. Malachi would probably win. Gosh.
It would be, I'm envisioning it like those epic rap battles of history. I think you guys would have a lot of fun with that. We have another comment too from Allie Murphy, who says Jade is the hardest working player out there.
Oh, I love Ellie. Stop. That's my workout partner right there. My workout buddy.
Now, you joined varsity as a seventh grader, going out there for your first game in varsity and starting at such a young age.
I was kind of nervous because I was like way littler than everybody else. Because like varsity is usually made up of like juniors, seniors, sophomores, and I was only in seventh grade, so I was way littler. But my mom, my parents told me like, never back down. You're just as good as them. And you always have your sister to look out for you. So if you ever need help or have any questions, you always go to Morgan. So I think having my sister playing with me was like, it really helped. Just like her support and how like we had that connection on the court. Like it was fun playing with Morgan, and she helped a lot.
Speaking of Morgan, how influential was she to help you make that transition, going from what I presume were traveling leagues, rec leagues,
Right.
maybe, I don't know if you can play JV or ninth grade before you get to the seventh grade level, but you had someone who had some experience and already uh, proved her chops on the floor. I remember seeing her as a freshman and the glimpses of the potential that she would take to Chattanooga. But much like Angel coming in at 7th grade when you were a sophomore, you started in 7th grade when she was a sophomore. What
Right.
kind of role did she play to help get you acclimated?
Well, Morgan first was very supportive, and she just always gave me a lot of advice when I was down, or like I felt bad when I didn't score a lot because I didn't help her out. But like she's like, don't worry about it. Next game you do better. So I just think like the support she gave me and like the advice I think was really good.
And you got to play alongside her for 3 years. And if my memory is correct, you got to take part in the Twin Cities game and start this rivalry with Como Park, which has become quite the show.
Yeah.
It's become part of my triple header at the end of the season because I'll hit up the Twin Cities game, then do the De La Salle Minnehaha doubleheader. So I've been thankful that at least you've been able to wrap up those games in regulation. But
Jade Hill.
what was it like? What was fun about getting to play with your big sister for those 3 years?
Well, me and Morgan, we're very silly, like whenever we're together, and we always laugh at everything. And I just think like the memories was like the best part of playing with my sister, and just like it was, yeah, I feel like the memories was definitely the best part. And we grew up way closer within those 3 years because we would ride everywhere together, go to the games together, go get food together. So I just think building up our relationship, not saying we weren't close before that, but like, our relationship really grew and it was good.
And then when it was your turn to shepherd Angel, you're the sophomore. Angel comes in as a 7th grader.
Yeah.
And the cycle starts anew. What was different being the elder sister in that dynamic?
I think what was different was that like I'm way more like harder on Angel than Morgan was on me. Morgan's a little more like soft spoken and just, more of a like, I don't want to say passive, but kind of passive person. And I'm like more assertive when it comes to Angel because, Angel can get off track and get off hand and she kind of wants to do her own thing. But, I just try to stay on her and make sure that she's like trying to be the best she can.
And how has that grown over the last couple of years, which included a coaching change? But even in the midst of that, you remain consistent, still winning the conference, still playing in that Twin Cities game, and keeping South in the discussion when many would write them off, if you know what I mean.
It's going good. Like same with how me and Morgan were, and Angel have gotten gotten a lot closer over the years, and she's more willing to listen to what I have to say, because I'm older and like she's just seen, what we've been through and like how the coaches respect me because, I listen and I try to like communicate to all the players and to her that like, you just gotta try to listen and everything.
Now, were you as good a listener when Morgan was the big sister on the South team?
Yeah, I listened to Morgan. I definitely did.
And for you to see Morgan get 1,000 and 2,000, and then you get to have the same moment, getting 1,000 points at such a young age, and then getting your 2,000th point last season, how surreal is that where you grew up watching Tayler reach those milestones, and now you see Morgan, you got to experience it, I think, some of them with Morgan, and then you got to experience your own accomplishments with the 1,000 and 2,000 marks. What do you make of your journey and how much you've evolved since you started in 7th grade?
I'm very thankful and blessed, like for the teammates and coaches I've had, and I've grown a lot since 7th grade. Like just my mentality and like my perspective on things, and so I'm very grateful that that I'm able to accomplish them. milestones.
Was that one of your goals when you suited up for the first time in 7th grade, or what did you have in mind?
I feel like I really didn't even have no goals. Of course, reaching 1,000 points is like, I feel like every player's goal, but like, it wasn't in my mind when I was 7th grade. I was thinking of other things. I wasn't really mature enough to like think that far ahead in my like career.
And along the way to 2000, you set another mark or joined a pretty exclusive list, or a notable list, however you want to put it, whatever adjective. It was a top tier list. You finished 5th in the state in scoring, nearly 28 points per game. You had put up some big games before, but last year as a junior, what did you sense was different, where you went from 20 points and then here you are tearing it up? You had a few 30-point games. I'm looking at some of these box scores, and you did not have a game where you scored less than 21 points. That's a pretty consistent mark. What would you say took place in that junior season that morphed you into this potent score?
Definitely getting a new coach. I think having my uncle as a coach, not saying he's playing favoritism, but like he allowed me to do that. Like as with like my last coach, he would kind of, he wanted everything to kind of be even, and I couldn't really like take the lead and like really do what I want when I was in the game, if that makes sense. Not do what I want, but like kind of have that freedom to attack when I want and shoot when I want. But having my uncle as a coach, I have that freedom, and I think like just being one of the oldest, or I was the oldest on the team, like I have to step up and be that leader and score when we needed points, or like when we were down, and take action during the game. So I think definitely my mentality changed, and that's like the biggest thing.
What did you say was different with your uncle as coach? He, of course, has a strong basketball pedigree. He was part of the staff at De La Salle that helped your big sister win a state championship. His daughter played Division I at Oregon State and made a pretty good run in the NCAA tournament one year. So he is no stranger to basketball. I'm sure you've known him ever since you were little. But to make that transition, you did well with Nate McGuire, and then you build on that with your first season with Ricky Hill, for those who don't know who we're talking about. What did you make of that transition?
I try to use it to my advantage, because I know my uncle, like, he knew what I could do on the court, and like he gave me the freedom to like show everybody how good I actually was, and like he pushed me to be better, not just me, but everybody else on the team. So, and I think he connected better with everybody on the team. Like we grew, everybody grew a relationship with him, and I think that caused the players to want to play more and everything.
As you spoke of him, it reminded me of a moment where I think you got your silly streak, if you will. We talked about how you and Morgan laughed at everything. Your uncle not afraid to have a little fun too.
Yeah.
Of course, I've seen him around, but for whatever reason, when I did the Twin Cities game, I forgot who he was for a moment, and he played it up. And once I realized, oh, this was Ricky, and I'm like, I can't believe that happened. I'm usually good with names and faces, but
Right.
If that is any indication, I would think he was firm, but he also knew when to let loose.
Yeah, of course.
How do you think that relationship has grown? You talked about how playing with Morgan and I presume Angel as teammates have helped you get closer to them. How did having your uncle as a head coach help the two of you get closer?
Just the way he supported me, and he's always encouraging me. He never discourages me or like puts me down. He's always uplifting and encouraging me. And I think like that's a huge thing, because this past season was, it's kind of hard, but he never like gave up on me or anything. He always kept telling me, keep shooting, keep going, like and just gave me a lot of advice, like, you know, which I really needed, and I really appreciated that, and I was very thankful.
We have another comment that dropped on our Facebook live stream from Wayne Guillory, who says, "Love you, little cousin, Wei Wei," and several fist bump emojis.
Not the nickname. Gosh.
Wei
So,
Wei's your nickname?
yeah, from when I was younger. I don't know. Don't ask about it. I don't know where I got it.
Maybe Wayne has an idea. No, I'm kidding. But going back to your junior season, you finished fifth. One of your best friends also in that top 10 list. So what was that like with you and Adalia McKenzie, for example? We knew Adalia was a big scorer because she did that as a freshman and sophomore. But then
Right.
all of a sudden she finds out, hey, there's someone else, somebody I know on that list, and a few others too. But what was that dynamic like? And what do you think is the ingredient that makes your friendship so close?
I honestly don't know why we're so close. I think we're both like very supportive of each other. So like when we would score, you know, we'd have a big scoring night, you know, 30 plus points. We'll be like, next game I'm gonna score more than you. You know, it was kind of like a competition, but it was like fun at the same time. Like no one took it to heart or like when someone scored more than them. But like I don't know. I just think like um the support and love we have for each other keeps the friendship going. And it's very genuine and pure. So
So there was a friendly rivalry of sorts, is what I'm getting at,
yeah,
where
yeah.
Adalia would score 40 and you would probably say something like, I'll get 41 the next time.
Yeah, it was like you got 10 rebounds, I'm about to get 17. Like it was just crazy. So
I'm scared to think what would happen if the two of you were ever to face off. I don't think you have at the high school level, but I'm
no, we
going Park Center at South. What would happen?
no,
I think you would break the scoreboard.
we were supposed to play them this year. I kept asking my uncle to like schedule that game, but you know, now with like COVID and everything, it's supposed to be only conference games. So I was like, okay, well, guess we're not playing each other, but yeah, it's really hoping for
Maybe in college,
maybe.
because she'll be at Illinois, you'll be at St. Thomas. There still is hope. But have the two of you, I don't know if you played alongside each other or against each other at AAU or even just in friendlies, but the two of you are similar as far as dynamic, explosive players. You're not afraid to drive, not afraid to make plays happen. So what would a one-on-one like? What would a one-on-one be like if the two of you
We
were to
play.
have one?
We when we work out, we were always going against each other or at each other. Like just a couple of days ago, we was at my brother's practice and we are playing 3-on-3, and of course, like me and Adalia were guarding each other, and we're like talking so much trash, and it gets so heated. But I mean, like after the practice, we're like, you know, good job. But you know, in the moment, we're like so heated and just talking trash and like going at each other. But it's all love.
This is throwing a wrench at this nice, humble notion that I had for all of you, these players, that, wow, it gets real, it gets intense when you're out there.
No, it does. It really does.
We have another comment from Gene Davis who says, proud of you, Jay, which I'm
Oh,
guessing is you prefer that nickname more than Wei Wei, I would presume.
yes, yes.
So you said you didn't know how you and Adalia became so close, but the two of you have. Do you remember the first time the two of you met and just how that evolved? Because I had Adalia on in the spring, and when she told me of the relationship that she had with you and Caleb McMorris and so many families and names that are synonymous with Minnesota basketball, I thought that was real cool that she has this network. And I imagine for you, you feel the same way, that someone who I'm sure we're going to hear a lot about in college and beyond, that you get to play a part in her life. What was that first meeting like, and how has your friendship strengthened over the years?
So we actually, it's kind of crazy. We actually first met in 5th grade I was at my friend's birthday party, and she was at her cousin's birthday party. So it was like two separate parties, and we met at the pool. But then later, a couple years later, she joined Taylor Hill League with me. So we played in the same team for like about 3 years. And then, she went to play with the Stars and she played on different teams for the last 3 years. But we reconnected last summer and then we've just been talking and our friendship has grown a lot since last summer. And like we went to each other's games. We've talked more, helped each other through situations, like really tough situations. So I just think like what we've been through has helped us grow closer.
Well, whether it's in high school or in college, if there ever is a matchup where the two of you get to face off, I might have to get some tickets for that one because I'd like to see you.
Going to be a lot of fouling. We both might foul out, actually. Shoot, because we're going to each other. We both might foul out.
Are you that hard on each other? Do you just start hacking each other?
We don't. Yeah, she tries to foul so hard, like gosh.
Probably because it's the only way she can stop you.
Oh yeah.
I would like to think she hacks you hard because it's a testament to how elusive you are as a player. I remember, I think, a Stillwater game where you were driving against Stillwater stop players left and right. And that's what I admire most about you. You get some players, and I've watched some film now through my junior all-star position. You get some slashers, but they go one way more than the other. They favor one direction. With you, it doesn't matter. Left side, right side, you'll find a way to penetrate and get the layup. And I'm sure if I went back and watched film of your big sisters, I'm guessing there's a theme. But for you, what makes you so versatile where a lot of folks in the scouting report, I'm sure you'll get some that say she likes to go left, she likes to go right, seal off the lane, you can beat her. In your case, opponents can't do that because if they try to seal off the right lane, you'll just go left and vice versa.
Right. I think my older siblings really put they really emphasized on like being able to go use both hands and being able to like go both ways and do multiple things. I just can't score one way. So I think them emphasizing that was like big for me and like it had really helped me grow as a player. So
do you remember when you got your first college offer? That's something that I'd like to touch on with the guests I have on this podcast series. How many offers did you get? When was that first one? And how did you handle that experience?
Well, so actually my first offer was from the school Morgan committed to, Chattanooga. So, but I didn't want to go there. So
you had enough of your big sister?
And that was during quarantine. Yeah, that was during quarantine. Yeah, that was during quarantine. I thought about it just so I could play with Morgan, but like I wanted to go somewhere where like I had a lot of things to do, like somewhere in the city. So I think that was like big for me, being somewhere where it was like a lot of other activities to do around the campus and everything.
So how did you end up at St. Thomas, knowing that the school was about to transition into Division I, so you will be part of that first group? What led you there?
So definitely the coach. I really love Coach Ruth, and she was recruiting Morgan back then. So I've like known her, had a relationship with her. But definitely Coach Ruth, and St. Thomas has a well-earned reputation for academics and athletics. So I knew I was like gonna be taken care of and like going to a good school. So that was big.
When did that become a consideration? Because compared to other schools, you know what you're getting into with St. Thomas. You're going to be entering uncharted territory. They're making the jump from Division III to Division I. That usually isn't how the process works. Of course, we know the transition was expedited because St. Thomas was kicked out of the MIAC and the NCAA granted the waiver. But this is going to be quite the jump. How nervous are you about that? And how excited are you about that?
Um, I'm not really nervous, you know. I have faith in my team and my coach to like get us prepared for everything, you know. I'm very excited for the traveling, the experiences, you know, playing with my teammates and playing under Coach Roof. I'm not really nervous for that. I think it's more of like an opportunity, a great opportunity for us in St. Thomas, and like having another Division I school in Minnesota is really big, you know, because we only have the U of M. So I think this is really big for us.
I remember how excited I was. I almost went to St. Thomas, ended up going to the U of M, but when it was announced that they would join Division One, in a way, I thought they got the best end out of everything. The Maya kicking them
Oh,
out only gave them a bigger platform
yeah.
because as a reward, you get promoted to Division One. As I understand it, St. Thomas won't be eligible for postseason competition for a few years while they build up their ranks and make that transition. But you'll still get a chance to play Division One basketball in the Summit League. So a lot of your conference games will be close to home.
Yeah. And I'll play against a lot of my like teammates or a lot of people I know from Minnesota, which is fun. It's gonna be fun.
And so what I was getting at, even if you don't get a chance to play in the NCAA tournament, what excites you about being part of this transition, being one of the first members of the 2021 Division One recruiting class?
Um, kind of just like I don't want to say legacy, but it kind of is legacy that we're leaving. You know, this is our first year going D1, and I'm part of the first people to be in that group. You know, in the first year, so that's really exciting. And I just think like it's a lot. I don't know. I just think like the opportunity and memories we're gonna make, you know, and what the platform we're gonna leave for the people coming on, and like St. Thomas is gonna grow so much from, you know, moving to Division I, and that's like really exciting. So yeah.
I have joked that if they're in need of a basketball commentator when they make that jump, I'm available. But I've, of course, been to their facility. I go there for the Twin Cities Thanksgiving tip off that St. Thomas started and love the new Schoenecker Arena. I was there when it was the old Schoenecker Arena, and it's a fine facility. And I can't wait to see you get some highlights there. Now, I'm wondering, how have your elder siblings, how have they helped you prepare for that process? Because Tanisha went to UND, which was Division II, but it's still a college. Still got to play
Right.
college ball. PJ finished at Ohio State. Tayler went to Ohio State. Morgan at Chattanooga. So a lot of Division I experience in your family. How are they helping you prepare for that transition from high school to Division I?
Just mentally, they've been trying to help me prepare and like letting me know what to expect. And like my workouts have definitely been harder, and like PJ and Taylor both have been pushing me, and like they're like, well, this is what they expect in college, so this is what you got to do now, you know. And like this year, really, Taylor and I really focused on like we watched a lot of film because that's what you're going to do in college, and we just worked on like correcting myself and not putting myself down when we're watching film. Like, okay, you see this, like this is an opening. So I think just like it's like a whole bunch of little things that they've been doing to help me get ready for college and prepare me.
A lot of film review, it sounds like. And I'm glad you mentioned this, that next play mentality, not getting too hard on yourself, too down on yourself, because in the sport of basketball, especially the way you play and the way all of your siblings have played, if you make a mistake in one possession, you like to play fast enough where you'll get a chance to make up for it on the next
Right.
possession. And I like that approach. What have you been doing to stay active? We're on pause. We don't know what the season's going to look like, if we're going to have one. What have you been doing to stay active? How have you handled this pandemic where opportunities to play have been limited? but at the same time, there's still a virus we're trying to protect ourselves from.
Jade Hill draws
What
contact
do you
on
make of all of
James.
it?
Officials let it go, but Jade Hill.
So I try to do workouts at my house, like just like
Asbury had nowhere to go.
using this workout app.
Jade Hill speeds past
And I get in the
Rush for the
gym
layup.
if I can. I know some people can let me in the gym and I can get up a couple of shots, but I just try to make the best of that and the most of what I can. And I try to stay positive, and not try to like dwell on like how we're not playing and some other states are playing. I just try to make the best of this whole situation.
Another fun fact I wanted to bring up, ever since Tayler graduated, the sisters that have followed her, you and Morgan and Angel, Tayler wore 3, they retired that number, but ever since, you've all worn 4 or 24, and in Morgan's case, she wore both numbers before switching to 24 when you came up. So is there a decision process or a fight for the right to wear one of those numbers? How does that work? Because 4, I imagine, is for PJ and Tayler, who wore those numbers in college and the pros. 24, Kobe Bryant. I know Morgan was a big fan of his. I'm guessing Kobe is one of your favorite players too. How do you sort that out?
We don't really argue. Like, I think we just let the older sibling pick. So right now I was like, okay, Angel, I'm gonna have 4, and Angel was like, okay, I'll take 24 then. So we don't really argue over that. So
I'm curious then, did Morgan want 24 or did you want 4 when you suited up for varsity?
Morgan wanted 24 for Kobe, so yeah, we didn't really have to fight over that one.
And you just kept the number 4. So when you graduate, is Angel going to switch to 4 or is she going to keep 24?
I don't know. She probably will keep 24. So yeah.
It makes me wonder, how did 3 come about with all of you wearing 2 numbers for the most part?
I'm not quite sure. I think Tayler was the only one that was 3, and then in college it to 4 because PJ. So
that's why I find it so amusing. It's like every game except for Tayler's high school games, you've worn 4 or 24, and then you have this number 3 that is just out there. But I find it amusing. On a related note, and you can take this in any direction, who were the people you looked up to in the sport of basketball, whether it was your family members or Kobe or someone in the men's game, the women's game, when you decided that you were going to pursue the sport of basketball, who were the people you looked up to?
definitely my older siblings, just because I was around them the most, and that's who I seen play the most. When I was younger, I didn't really watch like college basketball that much, or like the WNBA or NBA that much. Of course I would watch it, but I wasn't really like focused or like that tuned in. So it was definitely like my older siblings, Morgan, Tayler, and PJ.
What do you think would happen if Malachi or any of your nieces and nephews, are they going to continue the cycle, or do you think we could see some variations in the numbers on the jerseys over the next few years?
I don't really think you're gonna see a variation in the number. Malachi's 4 and Sine is 4. So yeah, maybe Kendall. Maybe Kendall might have a different number, but Malachi and Sine are definitely 4. So
Makes me wonder if they ever decide to retire 4 or 24, who would get the honor? Well, in
right.
Morgan's case, anyway, because she switched. But you have one of the most long-standing traditions that I've seen, and I've seen siblings make their way through with other teams, but you guys are the most consistent. I almost wonder, would someone split the difference and wear 14?
No, probably not.
Well, no, nobody's made 14 famous the way Kobe did. So maybe if that changes down the road. I'm curious, Jade, and you can take this any way you like. Throughout your basketball career up to this point, what would you say is the most exciting moment and the most embarrassing moment?
Okay. One embarrassing moment was actually this past summer during one of my threes that kind of hit the side of the backboard. So, but we were playing as like the team we played was not that good, but like my whole team was laughing and we were all laughing. My mom was laughing. It was really fun. But like, I didn't really feel that embarrassed, but at the same time, it's like, come on, you hit the side of the backboard. But I don't know. I feel like another exciting moment was during AU this year. My team won state, and we won we won at the last second, basically, So it was really good, and we won by 2 points. So.
And if I remember correctly, this past season you played for Fury.
Yeah.
That's right. And I think Alexis Pratt was one of your teammates.
Yeah, we're really close. Like that's one of my closest friends as well.
So what was that like then in that Stillwater series? She didn't join until you guys completed the back end of it by going up against Alexis for the first time in high school.
I mean, we were friends then, but we weren't that close. So it was just like playing anybody else, So I didn't really think much of it. Just trying to win.
And what would you say now?
It would definitely be more competitive. We'd be going at it. So, I mean, just still trying to win, but now that we're closer and know each other really well, it'd be fun. It'd be funner.
Well, that's what I was trying to get at because Alexis, one of the darlings of your class, if you've seen her, and you and I have, of course, if you haven't, she's one of the fastest kids, has a few state track titles. And it sounds like, well, you've seen it firsthand. And so I'm guessing she's leading the fast break. And I know you've got some speed, but then you see her run. I have to wonder what you're thinking. Were you trying to keep up with her?
No. She was in her own world, like running so fast. So I let her go. I'm like, go ahead, Lex. Go ahead, get the steal. Yep, you do that.
But you go ahead, I'll catch up. But what I admire most about her, 5'3", so she's usually the smallest player on the court, doesn't let that stop her one bit. And I think because she's so fast, I've seen her just run circles around everyone else. And if you see her on the basketball court and you think she's fast there, wait till you see her on the track. I've seen her win true team meets, state meets as the anchor leg. And she was doing that in North St. Paul too. And what would you say led the two of you to become as close as you have? And have you tried to pick up any tips for matching her speed?
No, for matching her speed, but I think for like us getting closer, it's just like us playing on the same team, like our relationship grew because we've seen each other 3 times a week, 4 times a week, with practice and tournaments. So yeah, I think that's like the main thing.
Jade, something else I wanted to discuss with you. I understand that when you're not playing basketball, you like to do makeup.
I knew you were going to ask about this. Yeah, I love doing makeup.
How did you know I was going to ask you about that? Do you have ESP or something?
No, I feel like a lot of people ask me that. Like, they're like, you like doing makeup, but you're a basketball player. I'm like, yeah.
Well, that's not why I thought of it, actually. The reason why I thought of it was because that was an answer you wrote in the breakdown book with one of the things you like to do was you like to do makeup.
Yeah.
And what led you to this hobby of doing makeup, and how has that grown? Because as you said, it might seem silly or weird for someone that, oh, a basketball player that likes to do makeup, but in the WNBA, I've seen folks with makeup, or they'll get their nails done or they'll have tattoos, all this stuff. And it's like, hey, if makeup is your thing, go for it. I don't think it's unusual if that's your forte. But for you, what led to this passion with makeup?
So when I was younger, like maybe like 5th or 6th grade, I used to watch makeup videos on YouTube all the time. And like, I remember like I loved doing makeup. Like I used to want to buy like, of course, like drugstore products, like products from like Target. And I used to think they're like the best thing ever. Like, oh my God, like I got some new makeup. Like, and my love just grew for makeup over time. Like I love doing makeup. And I love doing it too. So
Have your teammates or your friends, if anyone come up to you to do makeup sessions?
yeah.
So you've become the makeup guru of the senior class. Jade, you have an influential position. So if anyone tries to make you mad, or if Adalia, I see what happened now. If Adalia or your sisters, if they talk a little too much trash, you can get them back in the makeup chair.
Oh yeah, I definitely can. I mean, on Thanksgiving, I did like my sister. I did Taylor's makeup. I did Angel's makeup. I did my makeup. And it's like it's a lot. So I used to get a lot because everybody it takes like 30 to 45 minutes to do their makeup if they want it done like full beat. So I mean, yeah.
How cool is that? That your big sisters are coming to you among your cohorts or among your posse. That your big sisters, I'm guessing they're skilled at doing makeup too, or have some experience, but they go to you.
I'm just glad I can like give back to them and help them. They've done a lot for me, so I like to return that favor.
Is that something you see yourself doing away from basketball, either as maybe a side gig as a player or something you would take up for a career, or is that just a hobby of yours?
So I've done weddings and I do people for prom and like for their birthday, but I don't see myself getting a career, like doing that as a career, like just as a hobby. Like I just do it for fun. If somebody asks me, I'll do it, but like otherwise, no.
And I'm wondering, since your passion was started from watching makeup tutorials on YouTube, have you done the same thing? Have you posted any tutorials, or is that something down the road?
So people actually want me to start a YouTube, but like I'm very like nervous and I don't want to do that. Like so I do post videos sometimes on like my Snapchat and just so like people can watch whoever wants to, like I'll add them to a separate story and they'll like watch me do my makeup and they're like, oh my God, like they love it. But I'm like, nothing. I don't really like doing that. Really, I don't like drawing too much attention to myself or anything. So.
Well, Jade, I cannot speak directly from experience in regards to makeup, but I understand I was in that same position when I did my first broadcast, which was 14 years
Right.
ago. That first time is always the most nervous, but I think you could hold your own, because for someone who talks about being shy, and I get it, some folks like yourself and a lot of the athletes that I've had on through my broadcast and my podcast coverage, they're not looking for attention per se. They just want to do well. They want to be a good example, the way you want to be for your younger siblings, your nieces, your nephews. But I think you could hold your own if you decided to start a makeup tutorial series, especially with the increasing attention for
Right.
people yourself, that people in basketball can look glamorous while doing it. Uh, we've seen a more empowerment among communities of color. We talked about, I think earlier, how PJ was on the 35W bridge. Taylor was there, how your family has been on the front lines with social justice issues, racial equality, all of that. So when it comes to makeup tutorials, if you decided to start up a series, I think you would get some viewers.
Yeah. PJ's actually one of my biggest like supporters. He's like, you need to start a YouTube so many people will watch you. I'm like, Maybe. I always tell them I'm going to start it, but I never do because I'm just,
Well, if you need any editing tips, I would be happy to help you.
oh, yeah. I go,
And if you really, it might have to come through a lost bet or something, but it's like if you really wanted to have some fun, I would be willing to volunteer myself because it might seem crazy, but folks may not remember or they might forget that men like myself, especially in broadcast roles, when you get to the bigger networks, they wear makeup too. I remember wearing
right.
makeup when I was in a high school musical,
Right.
but the makeup was a little different there. I had to wear it just so that my face wouldn't bounce off those bright
Right.
stage lights
Right.
and then I would turn into a ghost. But makeup is not just a girly thing, I think, as we're learning and
No,
becoming
yeah.
more aware of over time. Are there any other hobbies or interests that if people were to come up to you, they wouldn't necessarily know?
Uh, no, I don't think so. I like doing hair a little bit, but I'm not like that good to be doing other people's hair like that. Right. Yeah.
Well, it takes some practice. I'm guessing your first makeup session had some bumps in there too.
Right. Of course. Of course.
Now, as someone who has virtually no experience or knowledge when it comes to makeup artistry, what do you enjoy most about the process?
Um, the transformation, like I like seeing their reactions after I'm done doing their makeup. They're like, "Oh my god, like it's so good." I'm like, "Oh, I'm glad you like it," because I'm always nervous. Like I never want like my customers to not like their makeup, so I'm always like, "Well, you tell me what you want, and I'll do that." Like so I really like their reaction.
I would think when it comes to makeup that even if you do make a mistake with yourself or your customers or family members, whoever, when it comes to makeup, you can at least fix it on the spot.
Oh
Other
yeah,
things, not so much, but I would think with makeup, and maybe it's part of the journey you like, is that you get to play out this transformation, but you also get to learn and grow along the way. And you know that if something happens, it's not the end of the world. You can do a touch up.
yeah. I know. I love makeup. I that's one thing I do like about makeup, and just like how you learn new techniques and like um new ways to do things. I really like that. It's like makeup is always evolving, and like makeup artists are always evolving with it. So I like that.
What are some misconceptions or tips, just things about makeup that you've learned that others, if they're starting out or trying to understand it, what are some common misconceptions or notions that come up in makeup artistry?
Um, I feel like for guys, they always think like um or like it's always like perceived that we wear makeup because we need it when really we don't need it. We just like doing it because it's fun. So I think like that's really the biggest thing. And I think a lot of people are like, makeup is so hard, but really if you practice and keep going, like of course you're gonna get better and it's gonna be easier. I think that's the biggest thing. They're like, well, I can't do makeup because it's hard. I'm like, well, just like anything else, if you practice, you'll get better.
I'm guessing you took that same approach to basketball.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
It would almost be fun, and I don't know what exists out there, but if we did a time lapse of sorts, your first makeup project, your first basketball game, or the first time you suited up, and then fast forward it to one
Right.
of your highlights, because from what you discussed, it like you have progressed, but it's like anything else. It goes back to the YouTube series and being
Right.
nervous because you can attest to this. Doing something for the first time is the most nerve wracking. And
Yeah,
for
right.
you, makeup is second nature, but I'm guessing the first time you took a stab at it, it was a little more daunting.
Yeah, it was. And at first I didn't want to like um do makeup on others. I'm like, what if it doesn't turn out right? But it's like you gotta have faith in yourself and like this is what you've practiced for. and you can always fix it. And if they don't like it, then, you know, then it is what it is. You know, you can try to fix it, but, you know.
What would you say in that journey was the most exciting moment? I don't want to say most embarrassing because I'm afraid what would happen. But what is the most exciting part about developing that skill and getting the opportunity to try it out on others?
I think like just seeing my growth and like seeing how, like I said before, like their reactions when I'm done doing their makeup, and it's like my progression in makeup has grown. Like I've grown so much. So I think like that's the biggest thing. And like I'm eager to keep growing and to keep learning new things. So
Now, when it comes to basketball players like yourself, how much makeup do you apply, or do you have to keep it off when you're playing? Or is there a way to touch yourself up without it getting on your jersey, getting on the ball? That's, I'm legitimately curious about these things because you're the first makeup artist
right,
that I've
right.
had on my podcast series.
So I actually don't wear no makeup in the games because like I don't sweat too much. A lot of people be like, you don't even sweat. I'm like, yeah, I do. But it feels like it'd be just dirty, and no, that's not a good feeling. But yeah, so I don't wear none during the game. But I know one of Morgan's old teammates, Aja, she went to Park Center. She used to wear like eyeliner and like do her eyebrows for the games. I'm like, how do you do that? You know, the most I'd wear is lip gloss in the game, maybe mascara, but like I tend to rub my eyes a lot in the game, so it'd be kind of like dumb to wear mascara during the game.
Or as the term, to use the term from Urban Dictionary, it would be a hot mess.
Yeah, literally.
One more thing I wanted to touch on in this podcast is how you've all embraced this push for change. I know in the WNBA, that's been a central theme of theirs for the last few years when the Minnesota Lynx started it. But when you saw your big brother PJ take the lead and lead the marches through downtown Minneapolis, whether it was the 35W bridge or elsewhere, following George Floyd, and the conversations have continued since then, Tayler has been involved, and I'm guessing the rest of your family has been involved in some way. How much does that cause matter to you, and how do you think that has helped you grow as citizens?
Well, first, it's very inspirational to see my family, like somebody who I'm related to, take a stand and be on the front lines. And it's like I'm proud, like, you know, like you're out there standing up for everybody, you know, standing up for the Black community and just people of color. So I mean, I've been learning from him, and like just what he's learned from like being out there and stuff, you know. He's passed that knowledge on to me, and I'm really grateful for that. But I mean, I think it's like what he's done has affected all of us, you know, because now it's like we're not going to stand back, you know, we're going to stand up for what we believe is right. And I think that's what everybody should do and not be scared. So I think PJ doing that has like allowed us to like, you know, really kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Yes, open the path for us to do that, kind of, you know, like pave that way.
Blaze the trail, open doors,
Right.
whatever phrase you want to put in there. I got what you were saying. And I was impressed at the number of people he was able to help gather. And I don't know how many of those rallies you took part in, but whether you were watching it on TV or witnessing it in person, what do you think it says about how much the conversation has changed and evolved? It was only a few years ago when you would bring up these issues and people would squirm, and that still happens. But myself included, I would say there is a deeper understanding about long running issues affecting communities of color like yours. And I won't know all the answers. I never will, but I understand why you're doing what you're doing. For you, what would you make of that?
Um, so first, I think people are just more aware of it, you know, and like we're making it like, I don't know how to explain it, but like just people being more aware of it and more like educated about like the situation and what's really going on. I think that plays a big role in like why we've had these riots and protests, and I think it's a good thing that people are, getting educated on what's been going on and like standing up for what they believe is right. And it's good to see people of color and people who are not of color coming together and like, rooting for the same thing. So
Throughout your experience, what advice or feedback or tips would you offer
Jade Hill.
to someone who wants to get into basketball or maybe has a passion for something
Jade
like
Hill
makeup?
comes up short. Cameron
How
Benjamin
you've turned
fires
that
the
from
three. Trying
this
to make that
interest
long-distance
into
game work in her favor.
what could be a legitimate operation for you,
Jade
whether
Hill,
you
relentless down.
become a professional or not.
Angel Hill on
What
the
would you
left
say to
wing.
someone
Feeds Jade. Three
who
ball. Corner pocket.
is hoping to go on a similar path, get those
And there's
opportunities,
the Minneapolis South
make a
pressure
name,
defense.
be a
We've
leader,
seen that
all
on
of that?
display throughout the
What would
year,
you offer?
and that results in a mistake.
like what advice? I would say
Jade Hill pulls up from 15.
just always work
Switch.
hard and believe in yourself and, never settle. I think that's the
To
thing,
Jade
like
Hill
never
three.
settle and like
Bullseye.
don't ever compare success to anybody else's success because you're on your own path, Doing that, comparing yourself to others will like put you down and like just cause frustration and stuff you don't need. So I think just staying on your own path and just never settling and believing in yourself is three key things.
And we've covered a lot of ground in this podcast, but is there anything else about yourself or your journey, your history, your story that you would like to touch on?
No, not really.
That's okay, because for someone who claims to be shy, you have a lot to say. And I think as you get older, and I get that feeling. I was there too.
Yeah.
I still experience it. Every time I do a podcast, I know I get a little nervous because I told you this and I tell all my guests, I have no idea what's going to happen. I don't have a list of questions that I go down one at a time because I like to see where the conversation goes and try to let it flow naturally. So it's nervous when you do a conversation without a script, without a fallback, but you carry yourself well. And I think as you get older, when it comes to basketball, if you decide to go down the path of a makeup artist or whatever project or ambition you have, I truly believe you will make a strong impression. That's what I've gotten from you out of this podcast. So
thank you. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, I think you don't give yourself enough credit, at least not yet. And I've got a feeling we're going to hear a lot more about you going to St. Thomas,
Right. Yeah.
which means your family, your friends, everyone who cheered you on, well, except Adalia because she'll be at Illinois, but that's okay.
Yeah.
What was that?
I said no, she'll cheer me on.
Right. I know she'll cheer on, but my point was her reasoning is legitimate. If she can't be there in person, she has an excuse. But all these people who you've been in touch with over the years, well, Alexis Pratt, I guess we can throw her in there too, because she's going to Nebraska, Omaha. You'll all be cheering for each other, even if you can't be at each other's games. But I could see you having one of the larger cheering sections at Schoenecker Arena in 2021. We might think of you, at least the casual fans just might think of you as folks that can hoop, but we're learning that you have your own set of interests, and if no one else takes it up the way you do, I think you're an example that you can play ball and you can look good doing it. So the next time someone gives you a strange look when you talk about liking makeup or wanting to do makeup and looking nice, it's like, hey, there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
And so actually I would go to you when it would come to issues of skincare and makeup and things like that. So if something ever happened, if I had a breakout, you'd probably be the first person I go to, like, hey, Jade, how do you cover up a pimple?
No, I got you. That.
All right. Well, I'll hit you up on Instagram if that ever happens. But no, this was a lot of fun. And I want to thank you for putting yourself out there, sharing a part of your story. And I hope this becomes a platform for others who want to learn more about you, whether it's what the best makeup tutorials are for certain situations or other interests, music, movies, TV. I'm sure we could go on for days about that. As a fan, Jade, if you're able to make this happen, if there's a way you could get a face off of some sort with Adalia or Alexis, kind of get that group together.
We're in the same, me and Alexis are in the same conference. So we'll be playing them. Omaha is in the Summer League as well. So.
Oh, that's in the Summit League. I was like, wait, because you know, when I was thinking conference, you know what happened? I was thinking of the high school conference. So we just find a way to set up an Illinois matchup.
Right.
But that would be a fun battle and crossover as well, because Jade, I've got it. You could do this one-on-one. I see it now. You'll start the series with this one-on-one. So people are going to tune in expecting this one-on-one. And I'm sure it would be fun and intense and nothing would be left on the floor. But then the kicker would be you could draw them in with some makeup. So if Alexis or Adalia had any makeup requests, you could hook them up, get the lowdown on that. I think that would be a clever way to hook your audience. Because I'm sure how many people have come up to you and said, oh, I could take you on one-on-one, things like that. Or you see it in the WNBA in college. Well, here's the kicker. It's like, all right, we're going to throw this. And then just when they least expect it, boom, hit them with that surprise. So no matter what, I know you will continue to set a good example for Angel, for Malachi, for Kendall, for Shanae, I think. Shanae.
Yeah.
See, I'm trying to learn all these names because sooner or later I'm going to have to when we get back in the gym. But if this is any indication, I'd say you're doing an excellent job being that example. So, Jade, all my props, all my thanks for doing what you do. And I can't wait to hear more about you in whatever field you choose as you get older and pursue not only success on the basketball court, but that college degree. I'm sure that's another prize you're looking to claim.
Right. It definitely is. So thank you, though. And thank you for having me. I had fun. So.
Well, thanks again to Jade Hill of Minneapolis South. You will see her in the purple and white at St. Thomas starting in the 2021-22 season as St. Thomas jumps to the Summit League and Division I hoops. And if you want to be a guest on a future episode of this podcast, just hit us up on social media at the Mike Peden on Twitter or Instagram. All you need is a good story, and we'd be happy to share it. And thanks to everyone who dropped a comment on our live Facebook stream. And if you're dropping a comment on demand through our YouTube channel, thanks for doing so. It's viewers like you who keep us going. You're the reason I keep doing this. So until next time, thanks for watching.